SnowTrax Television, going strong for 25 years. SnowTrax is sponsored by Ski-Doo Snowmobiles. Experience that Ski-Doo feeling. Yamaha, conquer snow. And by FXR Racing, maximum versatility for all conditions.
On this SnowTrax feature segment, we're going to dive into the details on Polaris's all-new 850cc twin-cylinder two-stroke Patriot engine. There's something going on in the snowmo biz these days between industry sales leader Ski-Doo and perennial #2 seller Polaris. Ski-Doo continues to run wide open, innovating and developing new technologies, all while pushing the limits of the modern snowmobile. In model year 2019, Polaris is fully armed and ready to do battle with Ski-Doo on a number of important fronts, not the least of which is the big-bore, high-performance engine segment, namely the 850 class. Why did Polaris choose to walk right by the four-stroke segment and go to war with Ski-Doo with an 850cc two-stroke engine? These biggest in the biz, highest output two-stroke engines are more than just motors for snowmobiles. The top of the market where these engines reside is full of purchase influencers and die-hard brand loyal owners. When the competition steps up like Ski-Doo did 2 seasons ago and redefined the big end of the market, it threw the gauntlet in Polaris' face. Buyers at the top of the market responded with their wallets. Without hesitation, Polaris picked up the gauntlet and proceeded to deliver a class-altering 850 engine for model year 19, available in many current models, and took the issue to the next level with the intro of the 850 INDY XC, essentially throwing the gauntlet back at Ski-Doo. Interestingly, the Patriot 850 engine program did not start as a response to the Rotax 850 program. In fact, the Polaris Patriot motor program was already in play when the Ski-Doo was introduced. Polaris wasn't prepared to simply hog out the cylinders on the bulletproof Liberty 800, in use since the original Axis arrived over 4 years ago. The new Patriot is a completely clean sheet of paper that starts with a stout crankshaft using enormous 40 by 80 millimeter crank bearings. The engine cases and cylinders are completely reworked with virtually no external coolant lines and an overall shrink-wrap look. Evidence the engine has been designed to pare weight wherever possible. The result is the new Patriot weighs only 6.5 pounds more than the Liberty 800. The Patriot uses electronically actuated exhaust valves, no longer relying on exhaust pressure for actuation. Induction is handled by ginormous 50 millimeter throttle bodies. The Patriot is, by literal definition, a semi-direct injection design. Fuel is injected into the transfer and boost ports a split second before entering the combustion chamber, where the fuel mixes with air scavenged under the pistons that came through those 50 millimeter throttle bodies. Improved oil efficiency comes from the use of an electronic oil pump, taking its orders from the engine ECU, not the throttle cable. Polaris will not produce or release a horsepower output number for the 850 Patriot. However, they will say that it produces 9% more horsepower than the Liberty 800. Our calculator says that's about 165 horsepower. All the techno chatter in the snowmo world won't take the place of squeezing the trigger just once on the new Patriot 850. This engine produces power in an as yet not seen manner. Here's what we mean. The Patriot is unintimidating to trail ride at trail speeds below 6,000 RPM. In this range, the power curve is flat and linear. This is where most of your trail throttle squeezing will take place. After 6,000 RPM, the Patriot pulls like a freight train, right past its 7750 shift RPM. At this point, it will rock you back in your seat and literally make you adjust your grip on the bars. Another impressive innovation debuted on the Patriot is an all-new engine mounting system, which does away with the universal torque stop. This is significant because the Patriot idles for a big twin uncommonly smooth, transferring very little high-frequency vibration through the chassis to the rider when underway. If you've ridden the competition's big bores, you'll immediately identify this improvement. Here's one more. All Polaris 2019 sleds with Patriot power come with a standard 4-year engine warranty. Just when you think snowmobiles have gotten as good as they can get, along comes the Polaris 850 Patriot engine. Clearly, this engine raises the bar in the 850 class, and it will require a response from the competition.
I find it hard not to get mesmerized by the biggest, baddest sleds in the industry. They're just so powerful and awesome. When you've got them around, they're really all you want to ride. This winter, though, I forced myself to put some significant miles on our 600 class sleds, and I gotta be honest, I've been blown away at how good they feel. Yes, an 800 or an 850 is gonna feel better when you squeeze the flipper, but it's how much better that surprised me. It was nowhere near as much as I thought. 600s are potent. Their lighter weight components let them build RPMs so fast, they feel almost anxious to get going. This season marks the first that all 3 two-stroke manufacturers have a 600 class sled with exciting new technology. So we thought, why not do a mini shootout and see which one's best? The 3 sleds we're using are Ski-Doo's MXZ 600R, Arctic Cat's ZR 6000, and Polaris's INDY 600 XC. Another thing to note is that all 3 of these sleds are riding on 129-inch skid frames, so they're all equal in terms of chassis layout and performance. Because this is a mini shootout, we're going to limit our categories of comparison to just the basics. The categories in no particular order: power, economy, handling, ride quality, and value. We're going to award each sled between 1 and 3 points depending on how they line up in each category. To get started, we're going to look at the category you guys always ask about first: power. But not just how much power, how that power is delivered as well as how it feels to pull the trigger. Polaris's 600 clean fire power plant is no slouch. In the Pro S it feels good, but in the INDY XC chassis it feels even better. I really don't have anything bad to say about this motor. It's smooth, it runs really well, and it makes power that will impress you, though it won't overwhelm you. It's the oldest motor in this shootout, and it's simply lacking that certain special something. It gets 1 point here for that reason alone. Arctic Cat and Ski-Doo both have newer 600 motors, and both are extremely impressive in their own way. Arctic Cat's C-Tech 2600 makes good power down low, but it really shines in the mid-range and up top. In fact, it's downright impressive. Ski-Doo's new E-Tech 600R is almost the opposite. It's a stump puller down low, has good strong mid-range, and a decent top end. So the question becomes, which is actually more pleasing to ride on the trail? Most of us around here agree that Ski-Doo's bottom end simply makes it feel more impressive. If you only run on lakes, the Arctic 600 might be the winner, but on the trails in the woods, from corner to corner, the low end of the 600R gives it the win here with 3 points. Economy is a touchy subject for me. For the average rider during an average season, it's actually laughable how much money you actually save by choosing a sled that gets a few better miles per gallon. People are willing to pay substantially more for a sled that's only going to save them a few bucks all season. This is a to each his own, I guess. Ski-Doo wins here. It's just a fact that E-Tech is more efficient than any other two-stroke technology in the industry. It's also cleaner as well. Arctic C-Tech 2600 comes up in second place here. It seems to use just a tiny bit less gas and oil than the Polaris, so 2 points for the Cat and 1 point for Polaris. When it comes to handling, the decision is an easy one for all of us around here. The INDY XC has the exact same front end as the industry's best handling snowmobile, the Axis Pro S. It handles almost as good as the Pro S as well. We literally have nothing bad to say about the INDY XC 600 and how it handles. It's predictable, settled, and confidence-inspiring. The runner-up here is Arctic Cat's ZR 6000. This sled also bites predictably in the corners and is confidence-inspiring. It only suffers from a tiny bit of inside ski lift that can creep up on you. Ski-Doo's MXZ 600 handles great, but as we've said 100 times, it's the nervousness of the Gen 4 front end that hurts this sled in the handling category. Precision is what the G4 is all about, but it comes at the expense of a more settled handling feel. When we talk about ride quality, we're talking about the entire package, front and rear, and we're not as focused on what shocks they come with because each of these sleds is offered in varying trim levels. Arctic Cat's ZR6000 offers a great ride. Its slide action skid frame is very plush out back, but the front end is a little on the stiff side. As a complete package, it gets 1 point. But this is more a result of just how dang good the Polaris and Ski-Doo ride. Ski-Doo's R-Motion skid frame has been the benchmark for rear-end ride quality since the first season it was introduced. And it is what Polaris used as their target for their new Pro CC rear skid, which rides, if not equally as well as R-Motion, it's too close to call. It's really the front-end ride quality of these two sleds that determines the winner. It shouldn't come as a surprise to any faithful SnowTrax viewer what I'm about to say next. Polaris's Axis front end not only offers the best handling in the industry, but the best front-end ride as well. Where Ski-Doo's RAS3 front end gets overworked when you push it hard, Polaris's Axis setup can do it all. Fast, slow, rough, smooth, big bumps, small bumps, whatever, it just works, and it gets 3 points here. The final category I want to look at here is value, and I think this category is actually more valid in the 600 class than it is in the big bore 800 and 850 classes. Ski-Doos have always carried a premium price tag. In our opinion though, Arctic Cat and Polaris have stepped up their build quality over the past few years, and that argument with Ski-Doo is losing some steam. But because of its superior engine performance and economy, excellent rear-end ride, and top-notch build quality, we think the Ski-Doo should demand a little bit more jing, maybe just not as much as it currently does. We're putting the Ski-Doo in second place here with 2 points because you do get more, but you have to pay more, unlike the Polaris, which is almost universally cheaper in every trim level across the board. You get class-leading handling and ride quality with adequate power and economy. In terms of fun per dollar, you simply can't beat the INDY XC. Arctic Cat ZR6000 comes in third here simply because, while it does have a fantastic motor and good economy and costs less than the Ski-Doo, it still costs more than the Polaris. But it doesn't ride or handle as good, so you're really not getting as much per dollar as you are with the Polaris or the Ski-Doo. The final points tally is a tie between Polaris's INDY XC 600 and Ski-Doo's MXZ 600R. Both end up with 11 points, and Arctic Cat's ZR6000 with 8 points. What does this mean? Well, when it comes to picking a winner between Ski-Doo and Polaris, it really has to come down to personal preference. These two vehicles are equally as good, just in different ways. It also means that Arctic Cat makes a darn good snowmobile that doesn't need to make any excuses. It wouldn't take much for a next-generation ZR to push one of the other two off its pedestal. It also means if you're a person who doesn't need the extra power of an 800 or 850, you have 3 excellent sled choices that will give you all the performance and comfort you could possibly need, while still keeping a lot more greenbacks in your pocket where they belong.
Trail Tech is sponsored by Princess Auto, a unique world of equipment, tools, and more.
Earlier in the season, I took you behind the scenes on how an aftermarket pipe was designed, opening my eyes to the hard work that goes into making an exhaust. And today I have freshly delivered 850 silencers right off the production line, ready to be tested in the real world. These silencers, exhausts, glass packs, or cans are the fruit of a lot of design and engineering time to get them where they are today. And while it was particularly enlightening to see them being designed and produced, I'm more interested in getting them out on the snow. Now keep in mind that we have 2 versions of the 850 Patriot exhaust, and both may or may not be legal in your riding area, so follow the rules. The trail can utilizes a TIG-welded 6-inch 304 stainless body and saves us a whopping 9 pounds of weight over the stock, while adding 2 horsepower. It's easy to bolt on, has a 2-year warranty, and ultimately is designed to have that hallmark throaty sound. Now enough chatter, let's see if it delivers. Out on the snow, the crisp low-end sound is there. I mean, it's not obnoxious, but you can definitely notice it, all the way from startup to wide open throttle. Do I feel the 2 added horsepower or the 9 pounds weight reduction? Nah, that's a bit of both yes and no. I do feel the front end lifts its skis easier and with more authority. While 2 horse isn't much, ditching 9 pounds of weight from the front end is significant, especially when you're accelerating. The exhaust note is clean and keeps me grinning under my helmet. I really like the sound of a good exhaust. Now, should you be a lake racer, mountain rider, or somebody who's running in an area where there's absolutely no restrictions on sound, and you're looking for the maximum potential weight loss as well as horsepower gains, then MBRP makes a second system that I'm going to install today. The race version for the 850 Patriot is small, I mean really small, and this comes with benefits and one potential drawback. The same TIG-welded 304 stainless steel design has been adopted, but the body of the race can is 4 inches as opposed to the 6-inch body on the trail can. The race can has the same 2-year warranty, is flow bench tested, and doesn't need remapping or programming of any kind. So what's the drawback? Well, it revolves around sound. Don't get me wrong, the sounds from the race can, yeah, they're impressive, as are the horsepower ratings and the savings of weight. But make sure that you're not ripping a race can in an area where a trail can is the only thing that's legal. To gain you the 3 horsepower total and a crazy 11 pounds of weight reduction over stock, the race can makes a lot of noise. Does it sound good inside your helmet? Heck yeah, it does. But it's very loud and will get you a ticket in many riding areas. That's why it's a race exhaust. Truthfully, the benefits of 1 horsepower and 2 extra pounds weight savings over the trail can will only truly be realized by the most skillful racers and finely tuned sleds. So the trail can is my choice here for sure. And while I love the sound of a fully tuned race sled, I'm not a racer anymore, and if you're out on the trails, neither are you. So the obvious choice for most riders should be the trail can. There's a lot of exhaust options out there, but when I'm looking for an exhaust for my sled, there's 3 things that I need: high build quality, trustworthy performance gains, and a product that's built right here in North America.
Closed captioning of SnowTrax is sponsored by Triton Trailers, built for adventure.
When you're looking for the biggest, the baddest, and the most snowcross-like sled from the factory, there's always been one acronym that sets itself apart. RR. Does it mean race ready, real racer, or righteously radical? Well, in my books, it means all of the above and then a whole lot more. But the truth is, over the years, the RR has softened its delivery quite a bit, and for that, we're grateful. While the RR sleds are still super aggressive and offer the ultimate in shock capability and adjustability, they now ride much smoother on the lower settings. Deliver a far more compliant ride for those who probably, wait, scratch that, won't ever race across country or see a snowcross track. While the Procross chassis has been around for a while now, it's seen variations of both the bodywork as well as engine options. As for the aesthetics, I still stand by this being one of the best looking sleds ever produced. There's something about the aggressive, edgy lines of an Arctic Cat new-gen body panel that seamlessly integrates the super tall spindles, forward-angled shocks, and flows clean through the LED accented headlight and up to the aggressive windscreen. I mean, this is a good-looking sled. Obviously, visuals don't make a great sled, but what's hiding underneath the plastics and the aluminum, that's what does, and the RR has plenty under there as well. Take, for instance, the 137-inch slide-action rear skid. In RR form, you'll find this bump-smoothing suspension laden with the highest quality shocks we believe are in the entire industry. A Fox Kashima-coated 1.5-inch body Zero QS3 up front, and a huge 2-inch Zero QS3R out back. Both the front and rear shocks are QS3 or quick switch 3-position adjustable. However, the rear 2-inch QS3R features rebound adjustability through a conventional finger adjustable clicker, as the 3 positions give us exactly what we need with an easy-to-use design. So the shocks are really good quality, but does it still smooth out the bumps? And can you run the hardest ditch line or slay the roughest trail and still be happy? Yeah, you can. Don't think for an instant that 3 clicks means you're getting less. The wide ratio adjustment made with the QS3 shocks, both ski and track, don't give you small changes. Think of 3 clicks as soft, medium, and hard. When you want to push it, the 3rd setting is Snowcross Racer Stiff and will deliver all the high-end damping performance you've come to expect from the RR moniker. One of my favorite things about Arctic Cats is how they feel when you get on them. The RR fits like a glove and it feels super aggressive from behind the bars. But that aggression also translates from the showroom out to the trail. When you enter a corner hard, there's nothing worrisome. The Arctic race front end is ready to attack even the most abused, rutted out washboard corners, and it never gives the impression you're overdriving the front end. While at times we would be looking for a little bit more bite, a 6-inch carbide seems to give you all that added grip where the factory runner won't. The 137-inch length seems to settle down the rocking effect medium space moguls can have on a 120 or 129, and really lets you almost track slap the bumps at higher speed, keeping the front end dancing off the peaks and your momentum, and more importantly, your confidence increasing. The seat on the Procross is super supportive and really comfortable even for a long day's ride, but for me, what's most important on the seat on the RR is the ability to move off center and get into a hard cornering stance. Arctic Cats have always railed corners, and the 137RR is responsive and happy to do just that. However, it's when you use your body weight to really get aggressive with the Procross chassis that it truly responds the best. Slamming your inside leg into the bodywork and crowding the turning side of the sled, causes a rider-to-sled interaction that feels so natural. When you really ride this sled, it delivers so much more than if you just stay upright and leave your body English at home. Cracking the whip on the 800 CTEC 2 is nothing short of impressive, and while the rest of the big bore industry has gone to 850, there's still lots left in this little slot skirt. The 160 class horsepower is put to the ground so much better than on a 129 or a 120. That sweet Ripsaw 2 1.25 grabs the earth and won't let it go. While a nice ripper would help out even more in this area, the traction is still very good. One interesting thing to note is the new switchgear Arctic now offers is now much more user-friendly, with 5-position hot grip adjustability as well as a push-button start on the left cluster that also acts as a reverse button. It's really nice you can now adjust the gauge from the left side display, and over on the right is a new throttle block as well as a separate mounted kill switch that can be relocated should you like it close to the throttle or moved around. The new Hayes brake master cylinder uses a shorter lever and delivers finer response with less input. This is instantly noticeable and especially nice on a big bore 2-stroke when feathering the brake through a sweeper or decreasing ground speed when entering a corner hot. While there aren't any huge changes for the 137 ZR RR in 2019, there are a lot of smaller refinements, and it's those small refinements that make a great sled even better.
SnowTrax has been sponsored by Polaris Snowmobiles, MBRP POWERSPORTS, race-inspired, trail-proven, and by the wide world of Arctic Cat.
If you enjoyed the video that you just watched, like it and then subscribe to our page for more great content from SnowTrax TV.